Last time we left Brazil behind, setting our course north along the wild Brazilian coast towards French Guiana. Our destination, Ilha dos Lençóis. It's day 5 out here. No land in sight, just water everywhere. The ocean feels huge, and the further we go, the quieter everything gets. It's strange how peaceful it feels, knowing how far away from land we really are. Out here, things change fast. One moment it's calm, the next the wind picks up and the waves get higher. It is rough and messy, like being shaken around in a washing machine.
What happened that night?
That night I couldn't sleep much. The sounds were immense, the motion of the boat was really rough. And then suddenly, splash, I just see a big waterfall coming or pouring down from the hatch, and everything was soaked in seconds. I think a big wave hit us from the side and just flooded the whole cockpit and spilled everywhere. Eva is in the cockpit, completely soaked. I get up, grab some towels, and close the hatches. Outside it's dark. No horizon, no moon. Just the sound of the waves and the wind. Nights like this keep you on edge, waiting for the next big wave to hit. By sunrise, the sea finally calms down. The first light feels like a relief, soft golden, almost tender. It's strange how quickly everything changes. The ocean is never the same for too long. Yeah, that night it was crazy. It was finally calming down and the wind pilot was working again. I thought I would get a breather, one of those rare peaceful moments at sea. But then a flying fish just landed in the cockpit. I picked it up and tossed it back into the ocean. No big deal. But before I even could sit down, there was another one and another one. The next hour, it was literally raining fish. They were everywhere, jumping, sliding, wriggling around in the dark. One jumped on my back and another one right into my face. It felt like the ocean was playing with me. I was laughing, swearing, and just trying to grab them all. And when I was throwing them back into the sea as fast as I could, I started counting them. 20, 30, 40. By the end, more than 70 fish. I also got a bucket of seawater beside me, just to rinse my hands because they were covered in scales. 70 tiny leaves caught in the wrong world for a moment. It felt so weird, absurd, not real, like I was dreaming. And then after an hour, it stopped. I was so exhausted and kind of buzzing from all the adrenaline. And then Eva sticks her sleepy head out the cabin and goes, "What the hell happened here?" And I was just laughing and saying, go back to sleep. You wouldn't believe me anyway. The ocean really does find new ways to surprise you. Eva's asleep now, after we adjusted the sails and cleaned up all the mess on the deck. And tonight, hopefully, the sea will finally let us rest. After a night like that, the ocean feels different. The sea has calmed and life around us returns. Birds dive and circle, chasing fish just beside us. It feels good that everything is peaceful again. I sit there and just look out at the water, my headphones on. My thoughts wander while I look at the horizon. Out here, time feels different. Days blend into each other. It feels like every day is the same, but it never really gets boring. You're never truly alone, but you're never surrounded either. You're just in between sky and sea, between freedom and solitude.
Do you ever feel lonely out there?
No, not really. There are moments of quiet, yes, but not loneliness. I think it's more about solitude, and there's a difference. Loneliness is more about being disconnected, and solitude about being deeply present with yourself, with nature, every smell and sound around you. And I think the ocean forces you into that kind of presence. Out there, you cannot hide from yourself, and that's what I love about it. You still feel connected with the ocean, the sky, and even the silence, and maybe that's the closest to peace I've ever experienced.
Do you think the ocean changes people, and if so, how did it change you?
Yeah, I think it does, because when you're out there for so long, you can't hide yourself behind anything. There's no noise, no schedule, just time. It's you, your boat, and the sounds of the ocean. At first, the silence feels really strange, but after a while, it feels honest. And you start to begin to listen to yourself, your thoughts, your fears, what you want. And it's not always easy, it's not always comfortable, but it's real. And I think for me, the biggest change was learning to listen to myself and to trust what I hear. Eight days at sea now. We're moving slowly north. Each wave takes us a little further. We have settled into the rhythm of watches, sleeping and eating. Land in Sicht! Ich möchte aber noch rasch vorher ankern. Aber erst mit der High Tide hinfahren kann. Ja. The island finally appears just after sunrise. After days out here, the sight of land feels unreal. like a promise you almost stopped believing in. But the entrance is wild. You can feel the raw force of the tides, the current, the waves, everything pushing at once. We steer carefully between the two islands, and then the engine won't start. My heart drops. For a moment, everything slows down. I imagine what could go wrong. The current, the wind, the drift. And we just keep trying. Finally, it roars to life. Relief. The stretch of sand over there was all on the water just a few hours ago. Now it's low tide, and if we left now, we would run aground in the entrance.
What happened when you tried to enter the channel?
That entrance was absolutely crazy. We just stopped in front of the river mouth and waited for more depth. Our boat was just swinging around in all directions because we had the current coming from one way and 20 knots of wind coming from the other side. But luckily we held. At this point, I was so tired I could barely keep my eyes open. And when it was time to leave and to lift the anchor chain, it wouldn't come up. The windlass kept slipping and the chain was running out again. It was like the island was testing us before letting us arrive. But we finally broke free and I was just like, let's do the rest. I need to sleep. Once the tide turned, we headed slowly toward the narrow channel. Ilha dos Lençóis, remote, untouched, a place to breathe again before we continue north. Every arrival feels different. It's not just the end of a passage, it's a moment to pause, to reflect, to be grateful that we made it. In the next episode, we will explore Ilha dos Lençóis, a hidden world of sand dunes and mangroves. Just us and our boat anchored next to a small village.